To the southwest of Solitude, where a great gap in the earth opens into the reach, we can find a small town, a place permeated by the tensions of the Civil War. Its namesake, a grand prize to control. Hi there, welcome to Oddities, a show where we take a look at locations and games to find details, moments, and minutiae we just think are interesting. Celebrating the mundane that someone still had to put thought into, and supposing tiny stories that could coincide. So, grab yourself a tea or coffee and sit back as we explore together. Today, we're here in Dragonbridge, a little village that sits atop a rocky river. Of course, one's eyes are immediately drawn to the great bridge standing on the south side of the town, stretching across the river, constructed with ancient stones that still hold strong. A trio of draconic heads peer from the centre. A hydra of sorts, guarding the entrance into the town. The bridge itself looks like a spine or rib cage, as if the thing itself was crafted from the very body of a stone dragon. The underside is sleek and smooth, and we can spy the segmented slabs used to make up the arch. Over time, foot traffic and carts have worn down the bridge, likely creating its indented look. Though that may have been an intentional design choice, allowing rain to run off and preventing pooling. Should it seep through the stone, I don't suppose this bridge would be standing for very long. Control of this bridge would be mouth-watering for the Stormcloaks, allowing their army to easily enter Harfinger and assault Solitude, and prevent the Imperials from sending reinforcements. As such, there is an unease in the town, everyone expecting one of the armies to make an attempt to capture or destroy the bridge at some point, denying the enemy access. As we first entered the town, we can spot the Dragonbridge lumber mill, making use of the river's strong currents. It barrels down from the mountain, pushing the great water wheel into motion. The logs are stacked here, just near the bridge, though I'd worry about them tumbling down the cliff should they be stacked too high. This earth here could become quite slippery, especially in wetter weather. And with not even a fence to prevent a fall. Let's hope Horgear here is sure of his footing. It looks like the base of the falls is a good place to catch some fish. Someone setting up a little station. Perhaps some netting could nab a few salmon as they jump the river. The lumber mill has a small little cabin next to it, where Horgear's brother, Lodvar, has a bed. But Lodvar doesn't seem to spend much time here. It has a table with a simple spread, some bread and cheeses, food to have a quick bite of before getting back to work. This cabin could serve as a break room of sorts, the workers taking some time to rest and recuperate. Or should a storm roll through, it would be nice to escape the winds under a shelter. There's plenty of mead to go round, satiating thirst after a long day chopping wood. We know Horgear is a big fan of the bottle, much to the dismay of his wife. Down in the basement, there's some extra supplies and weaponry. Perhaps a quickly accessible armory of sorts, should the town fall under an assault by bandits or creatures. There are extra clothes, some books to pass the time, and a soul gem, which is quite interesting. Perhaps it was plucked from the Mills River and brought here as a knick-knack. Up the hill a bit from the mill is the Penitus Oculatus outpost, a safe house for the Emperor's personal security, replacing the blades in their duty. Of course, the Imperial banners stand proudly outside, the symbol dyed red on a black cloth. The outpost is the best view of the town, able to spy down both entrances and keep tabs on the populace as they go about their day-to-day. There's some tables and chairs here for agents to sit around and have meetings or a drink in the open air, with their rations and food supply stored in the barrels nearby. They have a workbench too, keeping their equipment repaired and in good shape while in the field. There are candles on the front door, drawing the eye to the importance of this place. Despite being involved in espionage, it's clear the Penitus Oculatus want people to know they're here. The will of the Emperor apparent even here in these northern realms. The people of Dragonbridge forced to know their place in the pecking order. Despite their prestige, within looks like any other guard barracks we've come across in Skyrim, though their outpost was likely retrofitted into a pre-existing building. Perhaps a home left empty by a soldier who perished in the war, or purchased from a previous owner. They've stuffed 4 beds in here, with little else to do but eat or sleep. Though some have been enjoying books now tucked quietly under their beds. Others have been drinking, perhaps gambling with these coins here, as they await orders. Next door, we can find Horger, the millworker's actual house, sitting on the main road, just across from the tavern. It's a quaint little house, with a stone wall preventing erosion and acting as a foundation for the front of the porch. Inside is a single-story setup, almost identical to the Penitus Oculatus outpost, just with less beds. Horger shares a double bed with his wife, Olda, while his brother Ludvar sleeps over here. Though if overheard dialogue is to be believed, then it seems Ludvar has been getting a little cozy with Olda than one would expect of a brother-in-law. It's clear he enjoys music, with all his instruments lying about his bed. Maybe he fancies himself a bard. We can see the lumber business is booming, with all kinds of food adorning their table. Pies, sweet rolls, eggs, bread, treats, and cheeses. It's clear they're enjoying some of the finer things. Finer, certainly, than one would expect of a typical Skyrim peasant, and what the family infer in their dialogue about money struggles. Interestingly, they have an Imperial sword above the fireplace. Perhaps one of the family served in the military, or an ancestor whose sword has been passed down. I feel like we're encroaching on some drama in this house. So instead, we can head over to their neighbours, the Ilviv household. Here, Azada and Michelle live with their 2 children. They operate a small farm, providing the town with cabbage, wheat, gourds, and potatoes. The layout is interesting, conforming to the incline of the mountain, rather than choosing a flatter area. You have to wonder how difficult it could be to grow in such a rocky terrain. It seems the soil doesn't run deep, and the family likely has to stimulate growth through other means. Perhaps importing soil and investing in manure. I wonder if composting is big in Tamriel. They've weeded the place as best they can, but I'd imagine these shrubs and pine trees are pulling nutrients away from the crop. Perhaps then the family have prayed to an agricultural deity. Azada often spends his days chopping wood while awaiting the harvest, stocking the house with fuel for their hearth, and maybe making a little money on the side. The interior of their house is simple. The parents sleep in a bed on the upper floor, near a table where the family can take their meals together. They are stocked with produce and drying herbs. With the unrest in the region, it would do to keep the pantry full should supply lines and trade routes fail. The children sleep on the lower floor, a rather dreary basement with only some rugs for decoration. It seems the Ilvivs spend their money wisely, foregoing small pleasures in the name of survival, though the children are still able to enjoy some sweet treats. There is only one proper building left in Dragonbridge, the Four Shields Tavern, which sits on the eastern side of the main road, all by its lonesome. We can see the titular shields on the tavern sign, perhaps sporting heraldry of clans important to the town. One shield sits below, larger and crowned by the other 3, perhaps indicating some form of hierarchy for the once owners of these shields, or just artistic expression. Vader works here, tending to the place and taking care of travellers and townsfolk. Julien, one of the Ilvivs, assists her in keeping the tavern clean. As always, it's very similar to the other taverns across Skyrim, though they seem to have an excess of slaughterfish trophies. 3 adorning the wall behind Vader. Being so close to a raging river, it'd be no wonder if many were swept through the area, attacking poor swimmers or feeding on a fisherman's catch. The Penitus Oculatus must be having an off day, for just a smidge down the river we can come across a small Stormcloak camp, perhaps an expeditionary or scouting force, keeping an eye on things before a larger assault on the bridge. Tucked away just from the main road, they don't have much in the way of supplies, seemingly cut off from their army. I suppose they would need to steal from local Imperial settlements, or have spies smuggle food and weapons across whole borders. From their position, they get a nice view of the marshlands and rivers leading towards Solitude, and a position on the Dragon Bridge itself, where they can spot anything coming in and out of town. Wrapping up, we can find this tree on the outskirts of town that looks like it might have been struck by lightning or wrenched off its stump by the wind. It must have been a while ago, for lichen and moss now cling to its dead bark. A good place to forage, or take shelter inside should it start to rain. Another has fallen directly over the road, blocking the path for travellers and carts. I wonder if this was an intentional sabotage, bandits preventing their prey from manoeuvring away from a raid. My favourite spot in the region might be this little glen of trees here that overlooks the bridge and falls, covered in all kinds of plant life. It seems like a good spot for a picnic. And that's Dragonbridge, a very small town with not much going on. But it does operate as a sort of crossroads between several different quest lines. The Dark Brotherhood, Dawnguard, and Wolf Queen quests all bring you to this region. The gateway to Harfinger, in a way. Hopefully, the bridge stays standing for many years to come. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed our little tour around the town, and look forward to more. Sam is away on tour at the moment, so I will be solo narrating the next few episodes, but we'll be back together soon. Shout out to our members, Thane Creos 8, Anna A2640, Najkula, Renee, Patrick Connaughton 4171, Speed of the Earth, Nathan Armstrong 6085, Call Me Jibs, Dadney, and Callum Kenny. Stay tuned for more oddities, odysseys, observations, open roads, opinions, and live streams over on Twitch. And we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.